friends, family, onlookers, spies, and everyone else. Welcome in. This is Wake Up Legendary, and we're coming live from New Orleans, right on Bourbon Street. I've got a few friends with me. Say hi, make some noise. Yeah, Jalen, show them who we got here. We got a few friends. Welcome in. We promised, and as always, when we promise something, we deliver. We are here streaming from the great state of New Orleans, right? The great state of New Orleans. And Louisiana. The great city of New Orleans. The great city of New Orleans. I'm sorry, on Bourbon Street. I was confused because I actually thought I was in Gotham City, but yes, we're in the great city of New Orleans, as it says somewhere on my shirt, I think. But welcome in, and we're really happy to have you with us, just to kind of get a taste of our live event, our mastermind here, and we're gonna do a couple of mini Wake Up Legendaries here this morning with a couple of people that you may or may not know. If you don't know them, we'll introduce you to them and have them tell you briefly their story. A couple of our speakers who are going to be speaking here this weekend. Many of you are probably excited to hear and see some of our speakers, so we'll give you a brief preview of them this morning. But just to kick things off, my friends who are watching at home, we were just talking about competitive spirit and developing competitive spirit within yourself, inside of your business, and we're going to be talking about that a lot this week. Somebody who will start this kind of mini Wake Up Legendary series off with here this morning, which is why I've got the two chairs sitting intimately up here on the stage with me. I'm going to bring up a brother who we're going to get intimate. Two men up here, and he's a I know we are in on Bourbon Street here, so anything goes. If you would he's got the microphone. This guy is quite competitive, and I think this is going to be a great conversation and somebody to kick off talking about a bit of competitive spirit with. Everybody, welcome to the stage, Sean Sarantos. Of course, brother. Sit down. Okay.
Is it on? Okay.
You're more than on. Well, you are way on, brother. Well, so what did you think about the competitive? Give me your thoughts on competitive spirit and developing competitive spirit, what I just talked about. Now, for those of you listening in, I just talked 15 minutes about developing a competitive spirit within yourself for your business. You're a competitor. I mean, you compete not only against others in races and things of that nature. You're a former, what branch?
Air Force.
Air Force. Thank you for your service, brother. What do you think about that? What comes up for you when I talk about developing competitive spirit in this business world?
I would say there's a couple things that come up, and I think it's where you're at in the beginning and then where you actually start to become. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning, I talk to a lot of people about this, and we all deal with it. We compare ourselves too much to individuals that we want to hopefully become someday. And that soon turns into competitive things. But we have to also remember that we're trying to compete. And I speak for myself. I can't speak for everyone. But I know that some of the hurdles that I faced in the beginning was, am I competing with myself, or am I competing with someone that's 10 miles ahead of me, and I'm pissed off that I'm not 10 miles ahead on my very first step, And I think in the beginning it's exciting because it's all brand new to us, and we end up just surrounding ourselves with people that aren't allowing us to be competitive, they actually start drowning us, right? And what we have to remember in the beginning is you have to compete with yourself. I talked to somebody this morning, and I talked to somebody last night too. The person I talked to last night wanted to get into running. The person I talked to this morning wanted to make their first post. And the hardest thing is that person had a hard time. They wanted to think about running a marathon. And the person this morning wanted to think about making their first $10,000 month. And it's like, you're talking to me about a marathon and you can't even run one day. You're talking about $10,000 and you can't even make 10 posts, let alone one. And because that's in your mind right now, if you don't get the thing immediately, are you even successful? Are you even going to look at yourself as a success? And what we have to remember is you just got to do one. If you can do the one, if I can run once today, then tomorrow I don't have to go, oh, I got to run again. Tomorrow I can say, yeah, I didn't want to run yesterday, but I did it. And if I did it yesterday, I can do it today. And soon enough, you're going to run so many days consecutively and you're going to post so many days consecutively. It's not so much, well, I did it yesterday, so I could do it today. Now it's more along the lines of, I'm on such a good streak. Why do I want to break that streak? You know? And now it's you're building rather than going like, man, I'm just pulling from my bag. I'm really, really crappy today. But no, now it's like, no, I've built something. I've consistently done something. Why would I screw this up? And what you're realizing is all you're going to be doing now is you're going to be comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. And as long as you show up today and you don't quit and you're trying to get better, then you are always competitively winning compared to who you were yesterday. That's the mindset that you realistically need to have, because I'm telling you right now, I've made this mistake. And this is why I always tell people, unfollow anyone that doesn't allow you to become a better person. And if you find yourself hating how you speak and hating how you look at yourself because you're not on a person's level, then unfollow them. They're not doing you any good, right? So there's two levels to competition. And the first one is the beginning stages of, are you going to be able to be your competition? And the later stages is, are you going to allow others, to hold you down from realizing that at the end of the day, it's you. You're the only one that's competing against anyone. It's you against you. This is your business. No matter how anyone else might do, how does that affect your business? At the end of the day, you're the one that has to do it. So I love competition, but you got to remember, like, it's you against you. And that's the problem with any of this, especially social media in general. It doesn't matter what niche you're in. We are surrounded by other people who are making things seem easier than it is. And because they're refusing to show us the reality of the situation, we let the reality of our situation feel like we suck and we're not as good. And that's what you have to remember. It's like you're only seeing surface level stuff. But if you compete with yourself, you can always win as long as you show up every day and you try to consistently do better than the next. How are you not winning?
Yeah, love it. A couple of things came up for me as you were talking about that. Number one was just for today, which is kind of something I learned in my sobriety journey, doing something just for today rather than thinking about doing it for the rest of my life. That's a much more empowering approach to the idea that, oh my gosh, am I going to have to literally never, ever drink again? What if one day I'm in Louisiana, down in New Orleans, down on Bourbon Street, right? Down on Bourbon Street. What will I do then if I can't have a drink? Well, I mean, I had that fear 10 years ago, and now here I am in Louisiana, in New Orleans, on Bourbon Street, and it's fine. It's fine. it's not as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be, because today I just woke up and was like, for me, I think I'm going to keep the streak going of sobriety. And
what if it was day 1 or day 2?
I get it. Yeah, I'd be freaking out. That's why coming to here and hearing us talk about this, I think, is so important. It's the same reason why I went to meetings when I first got sober, was because if I would have just, been in my head, or imagine this, bro. If I would have been scrolling on TikTok, listening to 30-second videos from people teaching me about how to be sober, showing me their 30-second highlight reel, I would have totally been looking at my shitty life in the way that I was feeling shitty, and thought, I can never do this. I can never stay sober.
Yeah.
So I think that if we're learning, that's why what you brought up there, I think, is so important and powerful, is that we have to separate our marketing and our learning. Right? Our learning can't come from watching 30 seconds. And this is what so many people did in the past. Sign up for Legendary and then go out into the marketplace and start looking at what other people were doing, and try to just, instead of learning how to build a business the way that's going to honor your personality, go and watch other people, and then the comparisonitis starts. And so tell me what comes up for you and say more about this, separating your learning from where you market. I can't learn how, like you said, I can't learn how to market just watching people's 30-second highlight reels and trying to duplicate what they do. I need to have more of the backstory and the context, and I need to make sure that I'm learning in an environment that gives me the full picture, right? Like what we're doing here. And what I find is so many people don't want to take. It's why we named this new challenge, Learn, Launch, Lead, because people want to do it backwards. They want to be a leader on day 1. Launch, which I can't, because I really don't know what I'm doing, but now I'm stuck on launching. Okay, I did launch. I posted one video and I feel like a failure. So now I'm stuck. I'll learn later. Instead of learning first and just investing a little bit of time in the beginning. Say more about this, the good and the bad of the 30-second highlight reel culture that we're living in right now.
Well, I think it kind of piggybacks on what we were saying before, where you're brand new to this and you jump into something, and all of a sudden the very first people that you see are the people that are absolutely destroying it. And everyone always says that. They say, like, go look at people that are absolutely killing it, and they go mimic that, right? The unfortunate thing with where we're at is the people that are destroying it and killing it are literally destroying it. There's nothing. They're destroying the ethical parts of it. They're destroying the imagination, the fun. They're destroying the fun, because there's nothing fun about the type of content that is leading right now. And I tell this people all the time. 2.5 years ago, when I got into Legendary, the landscape was this right now, talking about learning and executing and having imagination and all that. Because when I joined Legendary back in the day, there was only like 2 people that made any sort of significant money. And that was like not nearly as much money as he's made now. So, and those people gave a very realistic approach. The very top of the food chain said, hey, it ain't going to come easy. I didn't start making my money until maybe a year later, if that. So when I came on, I was like, oh, man, do I have a road ahead of me. Reality was already hitting me in the face, where the reality now is, hey, buy this, watch money fly from the sky. And that's not the case. And I love the environment that we're in now, because we're doing a reset. We're doing an awakening that has to happen. It has to happen. Skills have to happen, because nothing, I can pull up my bank account. Where's the skill in that? There's nothing there. But if I tell a story to strengthen what I'm about to show you, because the story that I had was sharing how I was in the red of a bank account and how I had to struggle to get to these things. And now I can show you my bank account to show you that this realistically isn't what I was aiming for. It was just it being green instead of red. I wasn't aiming for a number. I was aiming for a different color. I was just aiming for a different situation. And I think what people understand, and here's the irony of it. No one will, because Dave said people are jumping into being a leader. No one will relate to someone that has immediate success. And the person that has immediate success will do everything that they can to compete with your sad story. They will wish that they had your pain points. They will wish that it took them that much longer to have success, because the longer and the more struggles that you have when you get out of that dark cave is a better story to tell. And it's more inspiration you're going to give to people. And this is what I tell people all the time. You're wishing for success on day 2. No one's going to be inspired by that. You can make $2 million on day 2. How does that inspire me? But if you take years upon years of learning, struggle after struggle, I hope it doesn't take you years, but it could. That's the reality of the situation. Because if I could just sit here and say, hey, I guarantee you in 2 years, if you just go through with it, you're going to make $2 million. You're going to be like, I can eat 2 years. Like, that's easy to know where the end result comes. But if I say, hey, the possibility is that it might take 2 years, imagine the story and the inspiration that you're going to be able to be for the person that's been doing this for 1 year or 23 months and they're about to quit, and you can go, hey, I did it for 24 months. Suck it up, buttercup. You know, like that sort of deal. The more struggle that you have, the more power you're going to hold over all of these people that are giving the flash in the pan type of thing. That's why it's flash in the pan, because anyone can do it. There are not many people that can show up for 2 years, day after day. But I'll tell you what, imagine you showed up for 23 months and then you were like, oh, I'm going to quit now. No, you're going to say like, I've been doing this for 23 months. How the hell am I going to quit now? Like, what's the point? Give me something for the pain here. Like, you got to earn it. You got to go through the pain, or what's it worth? You got to feel the pain, guys. I'm telling you right now, if you don't feel it, I'm not going to feel it in your content. That's why the emotional part, I'm getting emotional talking about, the emotional part is missing in content. I need you all to understand that. That's the reason why you make a connection. That's the reason why people trust you. They don't trust you because you showed me a big number. They trust you because you showed me your heart and you showed me what you're going through. And the number is just a number. The number is just a number. The results are what you're going to show, the results of your mental health, of your emotional health, of your family, of all these things. That's what's going to shine through. And the number's just going to be a number. That's why numbers don't matter. That's why they're just a number, and anyone can share them. I could take anybody's number here. You know what I mean? But I can't take your story, and I certainly can't tell it the same way. And the person that has been doing this longer than me, man, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of your story because I know you're going to be successful if you just stick with it. And you just keep learning. I'm going to be so jealous. You know, I hate that I had success after 5 months because the person that had it after 6 months has a better story than me. Right? And it's easy for me to say that after 5 months, but realistically, like, that's the deal. You know what I mean? You're going to touch much more hearts than me, but that's the hurdle that I have to get through and tell my story even better. That's the great thing about it. I have to be unique in telling my story just the same way that you have to be unique in telling your story. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, love it. Round of applause. Sean Sorrentos. All right, let's bring somebody else up. Yeah. You'll hear more from him as well as all these speakers here this weekend. Let's bring up the woman, the myth, the legend, Sarah Thompson.
Let me teleport.
Hey, she's going to talk on her way up. That's what I love about Sarah. She always makes things happen. She always makes it work. Welcome back up to the legendary stage.
Thank you, Dave.
Good to see you again. Good to see you. How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you and your lovely other half.
Isn't he lovely?
He is lovely. He is lovely. Mr. J. Thompson back there. So, what is your thoughts on content creation today? What is different about what's working for you than what worked in the beginning? Is it the same thing? Are you trying new things, or are you getting back to old roots? Talk to us about your kind of the state of the union, current state of your kind of content creation strategy.
All right. Well, to piggyback off of what Sean says, like, it goes back so much to your story. So when I got started in 2021, it was the TikTok dances. It was the quick 5 to 7 second videos and you're dancing, and that still might work for some people. But what works for me, what converts for me, is my camera in front of my face, telling my story, my laundry piled on my couch behind me, telling people, y'all can do this too. I mean, I did it. There is absolutely, like you said, there's absolutely nothing different about me than anybody sitting in this room. I took a training, I learned the skills, and I stayed consistent. And now with my content, it's the same as it was 3 years ago, because I'm still the same person. I still have the same heart. I still have the same start. I have not changed anything about who I am. So for me, it's still not so much storytelling as like my conversion story. Like Sean said, if I said, you're going to make $2 million if you take this training by, July, that doesn't help anybody do anything. I'm here to help people. And truthfully, that didn't happen for me. It still hasn't happened for me. I'm learning every day. I'm doing better every day. I'm helping more people every day. So it's my story. It's how can I help people? How can I serve people?
I want everybody to think about this also, no matter what niche you're working in, and understanding that these skills are so universal and transferable. So I think so often, we only apply them to one or two niches, and it's like, that's so small, narrow. It doesn't even scratch the surface of what the skills or the core 4 business models apply to. They apply to so many different niches. And I wonder how many of you have information that, again, because you're afraid to fail, you're not, and you think that if you fail once, you're going to be a failure, that you're not stepping into some niche that you really do have unique knowledge, expertise, experience, wisdom, wonderful stories, whatever, right? I think that our heart really opens up and our passion opens up more when we find something that we're passionate about talking about. But what, if first of all, let me ask you, if you were to take money away from the things that you've got out, and you happen to be in the online business niche, okay, which is a subsection of the wealth niche, right? If we were to look at it from health, wealth, relationships, the online business niche under the wealth niche, what are some of the benefits that you could or do talk about inside of your content that are not money related? Because think about it, money is really not something that when you walk into most businesses, they advertise, hey, I've made this much money in my business this month, right? Most business owners don't say that. It's kind of a weird, cringy thing. So what are some of the things that you have gained, or that somebody could gain from starting an online business, taking an online business training, that are not specifically money related?
You want me to cry on stage?
Cry? Hey, bring up the tissues.
Yeah. Money's great, y'all, but freedom's better. My world crumbled in September. My husband Jay is back there, and he knows I would talk about this. Jay struggled with addiction, and in September, I found out that he was back in addiction. And we sent him to rehab. He went away for 5 weeks, and my kids were devastated, and I was devastated, and I couldn't have gone to a job, y'all. I would have been no good to nobody. I don't even know how much money I made that month. I don't care. I took my kids to school and laid in bed and cried. I was humiliated. My business suffered from it, but you know what? I had high income skills. I had emails set up that converted for me. Freedom, y'all, freedom is what I got, because I got the chance to be a wife who was completely heartbroken and broken, and it did not devastate us financially. I was able to take care of my kids as far as like getting them to and from school. I went from having a husband, super involved, helpful, great dad, husband, to a single parent. And I was able to be there for them. I was there to hold my daughter when she cried at night, and my son, whenever he told me he couldn't live without his dad. I got that. So if I'd had to go to a job, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have had to go 8 hours of my day and pretend like I cared about other people, and I didn't at the time. I didn't. I cared about my kids and my family. And so that's what I got. And I got the joy. I get the joy every day of picking my kids up from school. I have a 14-year-old daughter. This is a whole different soapbox, but so many people think they need to be home with their babies. I like picking my middle schooler up from school every day. I like being the first person she talks to. I like that she tells me her secrets. I like that when she got her first kiss, she sent me a message. Like, you know, I get to be there for my kids, and that's a gift. That's a treasure. I have 4 more summers with her, and that tears my soul a little bit. But time, I get freedom. I get to make my own schedule. Sometimes that means that I work in between softball games on the weekends, but it also means I've never missed anything that my kids have done. So money did not matter in any of that. Oh, I did pretty good.
Eric brought up a tissue box right there.
I held it together pretty good for that.
Wow. Let's end on that with you. That was really, really vulnerable and very. I love how you turned that mess into a message. I love how you can come and get a tissue too if anybody needs one. Just
We can share the tissues.
Pass that around. There you go. Sorry. Give Sarah Thompson a round of applause, my friends.
No.
Let's bring up David Jones now.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I love how she turned her mess into a message. I know all about that, and I think that that's a great example of doing that, and it's in such an authentic way. It's not, it's just real, and it's also freeing. As David Jones comes up here, come on up, buddy. We should never underestimate the therapeutic value of work-life integration. Now, what is work-life integration? It's where you integrate your life into your work. Come on up here, buddy. How you doing?
Going?
Give David Jones a round of applause.
Appreciate it. Good to see you too.
Good to see you. Work-life integration is this really, really powerful and unique thing where, you don't have to compartmentalize your life in your work so much. And that's what most of us do in jobs, is that you can't bring, and she just touched on that. Mm-hmm. How have you created a work life? Remind me what you did before this.
Yeah, I was a account executive. I was working as a sales rep for a tech company.
Yeah.
Working with enterprise level companies and selling tech solutions. So, yeah.
So, I mean, now you could have never gone on a sales call and been like, yeah, I just had like a, horribly shitty day. I didn't get any sleep last night or whatever. But, now it's sort of like when you're working at home and you're an entrepreneur, mm-hmm. There is, it's a quite therapeutic thing that you don't have to always turn the switch on and off, right? What has it been like? Talk about your jump from employee to entrepreneurship, and what was that leap like for you? What was the hardest parts about it?
Well, the leap was kind of decided for me because I was let go from my job. But at that point,
more of a fail forward.
exactly,
type of thing.
it was. This is what the only desire I had after getting let go was never going back to the 9 to 5 because I hated it. I hated every minute of it. And I did it for years. After I graduated college, the minute I stepped foot into a corporate lifestyle, I was like, I got to get out of here. But when I was let go, it kind of lit that spark in me, which was like, I need to figure this out, and I just put my feet forward and plowed through and just dared to be different. I knew everybody was in the legendary marketer space and just online space was talking about how to make money, but I wanted to find my own skills. I wanted to learn how to do something like faceless content and make my own money that way, and then have the success and have the results to back up what I was saying. And from there, everything just took off.
So if you don't recognize David, we've integrated his training and interview into the new 5-day challenge. And it's all
noticed
about
that. I bought it and I was like, hey, there I am.
there you were. Well, it was such a good interview, right? And it's such a seductive thing too, right? And when people hear about it, it's like, oh wow, totally, yeah. I could. I don't have to really be on camera. And what are the difficult parts about it, though? It's not all roses. It's
Right.
There still requires work, and I want to make sure that for people here, we don't market it as a strategy that's going to be free from pain and struggle and frustration. What are some of the things that you encounter at the beginning, but even now that maybe people might not know?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people struggle with faceless content is and I think in business in general, is just understanding your audience. I mean, you can create faceless content and it still only get 200 views because, you're not resonating with anyone. Nobody's going to watch your video. And it's all based around the script and how you're making people feel when they watch your video. Along with, TikTok is getting more and more strict with faceless content. So you have to learn ways to bypass, the unoriginal content. You have to learn how to edit. You have to learn how to, get people to comment on your videos. You have to learn all the nuances of creating content. And that's what I teach inside my online community. Is it's so important. Faceless content is so important and vital to content creation in general, because you learn how to create content just without your face for a minute. You build a following, you learn how to edit videos, you learn how to write scripts, you learn all the different things that you need to create content. And then once you're more comfortable with creating faceless content, then you can bring that over to your personal brand and grow your personal brand, because you know what a hook is, how to, reel them in, how to put call to actions in your videos, because you're just using text to speech software where you're typing out the script. You're not talking, you're not speaking. And that's where a lot of the problem comes in. And it did for me when I was doing my own personal brand in previous channels that I've created and failed, is where I would take me hours to create videos. And because I was having to redo them, I didn't know what I was saying. There was no hooks, there was no call to actions, and it was just a mess. But because I learned all the skills from faceless content, I was able to bring that over to my personal brand, and it just exploded exponentially. So
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing is that the basic, and this is what everybody needs to hear and understand too, is that whether you're building a personal brand, meaning that you're using your own face. Sorry for those of you over there, this thing's in the way. Or whether you're building a page, and think about this for a second. Faceless marketing is really only doing marketing for a product that you are not the spokesperson for, which is what 99% of businesses are. Does this make sense? 99% of businesses, the owner is not the main spokesperson. How do those businesses grow? Marketing. Marketing. They grow from marketing. 99% of businesses, the CEO is not in every commercial or the owner of the business. 99% of companies, you don't even know who the owner is. You walk in because of some sort of a marketing message, a hook, some value, something that was attractive to you, a call to action, come in, BOGO, whatever it is, 4th of July sale, whatever the reason was, 50% off, Black Friday. That was the call to action. So it's marketing. And what I want to kind of, sometimes we get stuck in the weeds and we're like, well, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the secret. But what the secret is learning the skill of marketing, how to create hooks, how to write copy, how to create a persuasive sales message. So you can market anything. Some of you have seen some of the Wake Up Legendaries where I'll have on, just the other day I was doing it with Tim Hewitt. Anybody watch that episode? I was doing it with Tim Hewitt. We were just talking about lawn service businesses. We were talking about a cookie baking business and what would be some of the branding and some of the marketing that we would do. Some of this, services, unique services. We were talking about offering gardening services. The script, and the script was, hey, Mr. Customer, I'm in the area. I'm mowing Mary Ann's lawn down the 4 doors down or whatever. I thought I'd just knock on a couple of doors and just introduce myself because I've started to do something that nobody else offers. It's probably totally different than anything you've experienced or seen before out here. Key number one, introduce yourself, state the obvious. Tell them what they're about to hear is different than what they've seen before. Because if it's not, then they're just going to say, I've heard this before. I'm offering gardening services. So all the pesky little, not just come in, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, your grass and get out of here. But actually we can mow your grass and probably be quite competitive, if not beat your price. But we also are offering a gardening service where we'll pick the pesky little weeds out of your driveway cracks and clean up the yard and cut down the limbs and trees, things that are kind of fallen and need to be taken care of. And before you sign up, what I'd do is I'd spend 15, 10, how much ever time you have, walk in your property, and I'd give you a plan for what this would look like, even what plants I could plant in your yard or replace that wouldn't require constant upkeep because they're more appropriate for this climate. You likely have a lot of plants that shouldn't be here. And I could probably replace them for very low cost, which would cut down even on me needing to come back and do gardening services for you. But I'd take 10 or 15 minutes. I'd walk your property. I'd make you a plan. You could implement that. So here's the something of value. This is the lead magnet, right? I'm going to make you a plan, and you can either do the plan by yourself. I'm going to put it right on paper. You can give it to your current lawn person, or I can tell you about how I could do it for you. Do you have 10 minutes? I'll be back in the neighborhood either now, or I'll be back in the neighborhood next week around the same time. That's a persuasive sales message. That's what I'm talking about. And if you can do that with faceless content, your own personal brand, the point is learn how to do that, right?
Yeah.
That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
Learn the marketing skills, right?
Yeah, learn the marketing. I think the biggest thing that people want, and something that I've realized just in the past 6 months, is that people just want help, you know, and they want, because I mean, my DMs are always constantly filled with, you know, people's stories of, you know, the things that they're going through right now. And if I could help them, you know, make some money with faceless content, or, you know, and so that's where the value comes from, is from helping people. Like, you're all here to learn how to make money online, but everybody wants that. Everybody wants the opportunity to have that freedom. They just don't know how to get there. And if you can be that conduit and help people get to that point, or help them see success faster. And that's one of the things that I implement in a lot of my videos is, can somebody take something from my video, implement it in their life today, and have success with it, or see a change today? And so that's where the value comes from. And that's why, you know, people are drawn to my channels, even my faceless channels, things like that, is because I'm playing off those emotions, and I'm playing off of, you know, the things that they're going through in their life right now. So, you know, I've just learned that marketing is all about helping people. Yeah. That's it. And then it's like, if you need more help, then I'm here. I have these services that can help you, you know?
Yeah. You're going to hear more from David here. Actually, I think today. Are you
Today,
on? Today, after this. So let's give him a round of applause, and you'll see him back up here very shortly. Gwen, would you join me? Who knows the woman, the myth, the legend, Gwen here. My friends, give her a round of applause. Gwen, so good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Welcome on up. Hello. Welcome to the stage.
My tea.
Oh, wonderful. Glad you brought your tea. We can, I have my coffee here. We can have a little tea and coffee party.
It's coffee time.
Yeah. So nice to meet your husband
Yeah, I'm
as
glad you
well.
could be here.
Yeah. What's he think of this so far? We're only an hour in, so you talk to him tonight if he thinks we're a bunch of weirdos or not.
He married this weirdo.
One.
So.
He married the queen of weirdos, right? Yeah. No, you're pretty cool though. But most weird is cool nowadays.
Sure.
It is. How you know, I thought it was so interesting about your wood chopping videos and stuff. I want to ask you a similar question that I asked Sarah. How has your content evolved? Your marketing strategy evolved? Are you trying new things? Are you getting back to old roots? Which one, or is it something else?
It's both, I think. So when I first started, this is kind of a full circle moment for me, because I'm just celebrating a year of starting with Legendary. Wow. And I remember what my post looked like at this time, right? I was outside chopping wood. My husband was, if you don't know, we use wood to heat our home in the winter. So summertime is the time where we prep all that. And I was taking people on the journey. I was just showing them, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm going to show up. I'm just a mom at home, like chopping wood so that we can heat our home in the winter. And my goal is, like, next year, maybe we'll be able to pay somebody to do this for us, or my husband will be able to be home enough where we can do it together. And this summer is funny because we're at that place this year. It's very exciting to have that freedom to be together and do it. I mean, I don't love doing it, but the time together is the whole point, right? But my content hasn't really changed. I still take people on a journey, although that journey has evolved since then, right? Beginner, but now I've learned this, and now I get to share little tidbits of what's working. And it is kind of somewhat of a struggle when you're just starting. I think you want to help people start, but then you have people who follow you who started, and now they want the next iteration. So it's a balancing act, I think, between, like, if you're a beginner, let's share some info with you to help you. And then if you're a little bit further along, let me share you what I've learned because I'm only, 2 steps ahead of you. So similar, but different.
Very much. And I would say that for me, if I was to answer that question, the strategies really never changed. 13 years ago, demonstrating that you could help somebody, which is what we're all trying to demonstrate. We're trying to demonstrate in our marketing that I can help you. Listen to me, follow me, click my links, take my recommendations, because it will help you, right? Would we all agree that we don't say it'll hurt you. We say it'll help you. That's the point of marketing. Buy this, follow this, go here, click this because it will help you. You have to, that's number one, right? Now, how do you demonstrate that it will help them? What's the best way to demonstrate that it will help them? Oh, what? Okay, tell your story. Okay. Tell it how it helped you. Okay. Share results. Okay. Show them what you're learning. Okay. I think all those are true. And there's one I think that is kind of like the big 800-pound gorilla of them all. No, not about how you got there. Show them that you can help them right now by actually helping them right now. Demonstrate that what you're telling them will help them by just helping them right now. How do I do that? Teach them something they can use. Give them results in advance of buying whatever it is that you're recommending that they buy. That's been the game that I've played, the marketing rules that I've followed since the very beginning. You look at everything that we do, for the past how many ever years it's been since the beginning. We've sold, we offer a challenge. It's something that's low to no cost with tons of value that shows that we can actually help them, and we help them throughout that process. And if they got help in that process and got value, they buy other stuff. They're more apt. And what's the example of that? This room. This room is an example of that. You must have thought that what we were showing you already was valuable enough that you were like, it wasn't a gimmicky sales pitch that if you go to the event, you guys have already gotten value. You didn't come here to get the value. This is nice, and you're going to get more value, but you've already gotten value. Through the challenge, through the blueprints, through our other training.
They trusted you.
Yeah. And that's what I think that the challenge is mostly mental, I think. How can I teach somebody something if I'm also new? Let's relate it to your previous career was a doctor of audiology. When you were brand new, how did you have the confidence to go into a patient's and see a patient and give them advice when you didn't have, how do you do that in real life? And maybe and maybe we can relate it to marketing.
Well, I didn't have the confidence, and I would sweat my butt off before I went to go see my first patient, and I stumbled upon every single word, but at some point you do that over and over again, and I think you get better. I don't think you get better. I know you get better. Because at some point, I was excited to go get my patient from the waiting room. I knew exactly how I could go help them, and your confidence grows. And everyone always says, wow, maybe you said it. You're not confident, so you start posting. You start posting so that you get confident. And everyone always thinks it's the opposite. Like, you've got to be confident to start posting, but you'll never get there if you don't do it. Just like anything else, right? So I feel like I've been practicing to be in this place to be a leader for 8 years. And I think I'll always practice that, right? We can always get better. We can always learn. We can always boost our confidence. My sister used to order for me because I didn't want to speak when we were kids. And now I am sitting on a stage speaking to you in front of a bunch of people. Like, that's weird. Okay? Time, practice. Yeah.
I think telling your story is a great important part, but I think that too many of us, when we hear that, we think that I need to go out and bear all on the internet, and the internet is some sort of a personal diary for me to go out, and that's not what marketing is. Marketing is about finding the point that you want to make or the thing that you want to teach people, and then finding a story, a parable, an analogy that matches with that point that can help you to make the point in a fashion that people can understand and relate to. Does this make sense? It's the reason why many spiritual and religious teachings are still around to this day. Otherwise, who knows? I just know that the parables and the way in which lessons were taught, if you read the Bible, for example, they were taught in parables. They were taught in stories. That was the genius. Maybe it was the divine genius. Right? Is it odd or is it God? I don't know. You decide. That's for you to decide. I'm just taking the marketing lessons out of it. Okay? This is not a sermon. This is a marketing event. And so the purpose is not to, how do you use story and how do you find what's appropriate? How do you determine what's appropriate, what's not appropriate? What sort of in sort of psychology and probably in medicine, you self-disclose if it's appropriate, if it'll help the patient, right? Yeah. But not just for the hell of it. Is that applicable here too? And how do you use story without saying things that you don't need to say, saying things that may not be good for you to say, saying things that are not good for them or useful for them to hear, but what's pertinent and poignant and powerful?
That's a hard question. I think what it comes down to is truly understanding your audience. Like who is it? Can you put one person in front of you with a name, like someone that you know that you want to help? Because when you can identify that one person, and maybe it's like the previous version of you, then you know exactly what their problems are. You know what they're complaining about. You know what they're texting their friends about. You know what they're saying. And I feel like they only need that next step. You're not writing a book. Like someone can buy your memoir, but you're just kind of giving them like the highlight reel of, it's like reading the back of the book, I guess. It's like the highlight reel of what's inside. You can kind of get an idea for like, there's other parts to that story, but they don't need to know the whole thing in order to buy into the thing that you're selling. Right? Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's about finding, the best storytelling formula that there's two. One is, what it was like, what happened, what it's like now. That was the whole recovery thing that I was taught in my first, recovery meetings when I was, asked to share my story. And I was like, well, share story. What? I was just homeless not too long ago. I don't have a story. They were like, well, talk about what it was like, what happened, and now what it's like now. The other one was a framework that was shared by an old copywriter, a legendary copywriter named John Carlton. And it is, here's what I've got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what I want you to do now. Now you can tell a story at any one of those points. Here's what I've got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what I want you to do now. And if you want to share a story at some point within those, you can. But you never share a story without making a point. You never make a point without sharing a story. It's kind of a great marketing rule to live by. Because without the story, the facts don't. You ever heard you only remember 10% or retain 10%? Do you think that's true from your?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
But is it also true that you remember a whole hell of a lot when there's a story attached to it?
Yeah. Yeah, always. I meet people for the first time. They're like, I saw you chopping wood and I know that you want to not chop wood anymore. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, that's my story now. Cool.
Well, right. And if it sticks, it sticks.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I think it's relatability, right?
Totally,
like
yeah.
They can see them. They're like, yes, I do something every day that I don't want to do. And I wish I could pay someone to do that or have the freedom to do it with somebody else. And so it's that like relatability factor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you'll talk more about all the amazing stuff that you have been up to and that you're doing and what got you here in your talk here coming up on tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So give Gwen a huge round of applause. Mark, we've got one more speaker who's here. God, he arrived. I'm glad you got here. I found out he had some travel issues the same way that I had. I think his travel issues were more intense than mine. Did you actually have a layover where you stayed the night somewhere?
Yeah, I stayed the night in Dallas.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. Welcome.
You too.
Glad you made it, man. How the hell are you? Nice to see you. Mark Harbert, everybody. Mark Harbert. Now, many of you know Mark from our digital product Blueprint. Okay. And yeah, it's amazing. He's amazing. And you've sold a lot of, so good to see you, buddy. How are you? How the hell are you, man?
It's been a while.
How's Ohio? Jeez, you moved from Florida to Ohio. You ready to come back yet?
Every day during the winter, I think. And I moved here. Why?
So you've sold a lot of digital products. What are you going to talk about this weekend? Are you going to talk
email marketing?
Talk about email marketing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's talk about digital products now.
All right, cool.
So many people come in and they start out, of course, with affiliate marketing, and that becomes sort of their one track mind, right? And I think for me, it was not only profitable, but also expanded my creativity. It boosted my confidence. There's a lot of things that developing your own digital product do for you, right? And it's almost like the earlier that you can do it and fail forward with it, the better. My first product and many after that consisted of just a checkout page and then another page that the videos would be on. It wasn't even locked in a membership site. I mean, if you had the link to that and you shared it with your buddy, they'd have it too, What was can you remember your first digital product?
Oh, yeah.
And would you talk to us about that? How long had you been marketing for when you created? What was it about? And what was that like for you? What did it do for you?
Yeah. So I was functioning in an affiliate marketing community. Dave, it's kind of where I met Dave.
For network marketers.
Yeah, for network marketers, right.
We were selling. Some of you have heard me tell that story before. It was for network marketers. That was my first. I was a struggling network marketer.
Yep.
You probably were too. Tired of chasing friends and family.
Oh, yeah.
So we were trying to learn how to generate leads online.
That was it. And so in that community, I went out and I was going crazy with YouTube videos. I'm pumping out YouTube videos like crazy. And I ended up producing a result in that community and did really, really well. I was, one of the top 5 in the leaderboards there. And next thing I know, I've got all these people asking me, how did you do that? And I'm like, bing. Maybe it's time to create a course. And I had a mastermind buddy that I was working with. And that is one thing I actually really recommend is if you really want to go far, find somebody to run with and hold each other accountable. Cause that really is what pushed me to really break through. But I had all these people asking me, how did you do it? And how are you, getting these leads to convert? So I said, okay, let me create a course called Lead Conversion Mastery. And I created it. I sold it for $7 and I did a little launch of it myself. And I think I ended up selling maybe 200 or 300 of them at $7. And then I ended up upping it to 47, sold a whole bunch of those. And after a while, I started realizing that people were hungry for more knowledge. And I just had this passion for marketing. I love it. I love the challenge of it. I love everything about it. And so I just started teaching marketing, and I really realized how much I love teaching it. And number one, learning it, but that's where I started to create courses, and it's blossomed over the years. I've got my own membership community now, but I think when it comes to creating courses, you have to tap into something that you really, really like. Don't just do stuff for the money. Like, I love making money. I mean, I love it, but you got to do something that really lights you up, because in the end, if not, you can make a lot of money, but it could feel like a very lucrative job that you don't like. And I've just learned that if you're doing it something because you love it, you're going to be in it so much longer. It's going to be, when it gets tough, and earlier they were talking about it gets hard. It does. Like, it's not like you stop learning as you go. People think sometimes, I just need to make that first $10,000 month and my whole life's going to be kumbaya after that. And that's just not true, because ask me how I know. When you start to realize that, I'm making all this money. And I'm supposed to pay that agency called the IRS. And you realize, like, hey, you got to learn. Like, every level you go to is all about learning. You never stop. And so for me, like, I'm just a perpetual learner. Like, I'm coming here to speak, but I'm coming here to learn too. Like, I want to hear what all you guys are doing. Because to me, that's how you get good at this. You got to love it. Yeah. So find what you're passionate about. You can create a course around that. And all of you have something you can talk about.
Yeah. And I love also the create something around something that you've had success with. This also is a way to market, right? We were just talking about how can I show you I can help you behind the paywall with the thing that, I'm going to help you now for free, right? Just help you now for free. I'm sure you're going to talk about this a bit more with email, but I can't just spam pitches every day in my email. I've got to learn how to teach people stuff for free. I've got to do more than tell my story. I want to be clear about that. Telling your story is not good enough. It's not good enough. You've got to help people by giving them valuable tips, tidbits, secrets, shortcuts, whatever the hell you want to call it. If you were in the dating niche and you were talking to men, you would give them lines. I know this. I follow this girl and guys. I've always loved the dating relationship niche, and here's what to say. Here's what to do in this scenario. Here's what to do on a second date. Here's what, right? And it's giving, here's how to make your relationship more, when this conflict comes up, here's how to, diffuse it. Here's how to lean into it instead of to run away. Here's a strategy. Here's something that you can do to boost the intimacy in between you two, feeling like things are died down. Here's how to boost them back up again. All of it for free. I think one of the great ways to know whether you're ready to create a product is, are you actually able to give mini modules in free content? So give us a preview. How do you do that today? And what is your number one way of doing that? Are you using ads? Are you using organic content? Are you using email? And help us to understand in a little bit of a preview and kind of nutshell version, where do people go to get, if they wanted to, what is your goal to show them that you can help them initially before? How do you prime them and get them sort of indoctrinated into the idea that this guy can help me? What does that kind of strategy look like for you?
So I love paid marketing. I that's one of my main drivers. I still create content. I still create videos. I very much blog on my blog all the time.
Do you still blog?
I absolutely do.
And wow,
blog
really?
every day, man. No.
Blog daily, brother.
You blog daily. But I still use my blog. It's a branding. It's a value giver. I create videos that share value. So what I'll do is I typically will set up paid ads. I run a lot of Facebook ads. I'll get people on my email list, and that's where I put all my focus. And that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, is really treating your email list like the gold that it is. And because it's by far the highest ROI channel, and most people think email is dead. And it's not. And that's a huge opportunity for you. And I'll say this, I saw an ad a couple months ago, and it was a texting service, and the email, or the ad said, email is dead, texting is in. And then I clicked it and I went to their website, and you had to put in your email to set up an account. And I'm like, the irony, you know? And so, but my goal is to like build an email list, focus on providing value. And I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but I love to put blog posts out and just send them out to my list and provide value. And you know what is in my blog posts? Links to stuff, affiliate products. And I'll talk about this too, but I was just looking at the Legendary blog, which there's some great blog posts on there, and that's all affiliatized, right? I mean, if you don't have a blog right now, find something on the Legendary blog that's of value and send it out to your list. You know, there's so many good things that you can do, but that's what I focus on, is I'm really getting people on my email list, and I just keep putting them in a circular motion. And rather than constantly pitching them, I'm sending them value, which has links in there that they can click and go buy stuff. It's kind of like you're softening the pitch, and then they see the value you provide. What are they going to do? It's like when you go into a store, you're looking around and somebody comes, going to help you. No, I'm just looking. And guess what happens when people do that? They look. It's like the same concept, and they'll buy stuff. So
treating I love that. It's about letting them look, letting them be on your email list for as long as they need to be. And right.
I've had people, no joke, this is probably a couple months ago, some lady wrote me and she's like, I've been on your email list for 6 years and I'm ready to buy something. Okay, what do you want? Here you go.
I love our connection that goes way back to, those early days with that network marketing training company that we were both affiliated with. I love we just told an inside joke about a campaign or company that I owned for a period of time that was about blogging. And so we said blog daily. That was a kind of an inside, because we were blogging back then. It was 2011. And now it's 2024, dude.
It's crazy.
Why
Long
is
time
my
ago.
beard so much grayer than yours?
Because I know how to use dye.
What I'm amazed by is your consistency, dude. You're still blogging. How many blog posts do you know? How many blog posts?
Probably around 500. But here's the interesting part:
so you're not blogging daily.
No, I'm not. Actually, what I do too is
500 blog posts, man.
Yeah, and so what I do is I go back
to target a keyword.
Yeah.
Whenever there's something that you see that you're like, I want to target, that's a hot trending product or a long tail keyword or a company or something, right? You're not just randomly blogging. You're using a blog post to rank that sucker in Google for a very specific purpose, right?
Yeah, and if it ranks, great, and I've got some that do.
Yeah.
It's not my primary goal, though. My primary goal is to really use it as more of a branding tool.
Okay.
You know,
do you then email that blog
Yes.
post out as soon
Yes.
as you write a blog
Yep.
post?
First thing I do, email.
So you must be, so you're not really reviewing companies and products.
No.
You're more writing them
Yeah.
it's sort of like a longer,
Yeah.
it's like a longer form email
Right.
that has the potential to rank in the
Right.
search engines. And the problem with email is you're not going to get any new traffic from it. You're only going to blast that email to the people who are on your list. Whereas a blog post could get indexed on Google and actually get in front of other people. That's the power of Google and YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube's also a search engine,
Right.
right?
I still get leads from videos I created 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I had one guy reach out to me. I used to live in South America. My wife's from Chile, and I lived in South America for 4 years. And I created a whole ton of videos when I lived down there. And I actually had one guy reach out to me several years after I had moved back, and he wrote me. He's like, "Hey, how's Chile?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I haven't been there in several years." But I was like, how cool is that my video, like they're seeing these videos and I'm still getting leads on it. And I was like, that's the coolest thing about it.
Well, that's real leverage. That's real passive traffic, right? I feel like I'm talking to like a legend here. You've just been around for so long. We're like dinosaurs.
I brought my cane too.
Yeah. So what do you think about this? And I promise we're going to wrap this up soon because we got to move on, but I could talk to this guy for hours. What do you think about, last question, about this, like this culture of like 30-second short form videos, and the difference, why people might want to consider YouTube videos, and explain to people the difference between how YouTube works from how, although some of these other platforms are now a little different where they'll push your video out virally. Do you you obviously still believe in blogging, and you've made it clear that email's not dead.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on YouTube marketing?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube, and even when I create YouTube videos, like I'm not even necessarily, because my strategy is paid. I'm all about building my audience through paid means, and then using all of my platforms as a way to expose the audience that I've built on my email list. And so what I look at, I believe YouTube is positioned better than any platform. And, over the last, year or two, you've seen longer form videos on TikTok. I mean, that's because TikTok sees the value in longer form videos. They want to keep people on the platform. YouTube wants the same thing. But the difference between the two, even YouTube, and I follow a lot of YouTube gurus, that are really, really like all about building the subscriber base and all that. And they will tell you that there is a major difference between this short video viewer and the long form viewer. They're very different. When people go to watch short form videos, they want to watch short form videos. They're not interested in watching long form videos. So the short form subscribers don't necessarily translate into good long form subscribers. So, how you bridge that gap, I don't know. It's kind of people still trying to figure that out on YouTube. But I know that there's a ton of value still in long form video. How many of you guys still watch long form videos? I mean, yeah, I do all the time. So it's still there. And it's great for brand building. It's great for more explainer videos. There's so much of short form that transfers over to long form. You still got to have a good hook. You got to have a good, the content. It's all kind of similar.
Yeah. Wow. So many questions to ask, and we'll have more Mark tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
And, are you going to touch at all on paid marketing in with this email talk at all?
I don't really have it on my slides much, but.
Or would you be willing to answer questions if anybody has questions about paid marketing?
Yeah.
Okay, give Mark Harbert a round of applause. Thanks for joining me up here, buddy. Are you guys still here? Are you guys still here peeking in on us? What I meant the viewers. Are they still? You guys still here? You guys still here watching, listening? Good for you. Good for you. That's some really good stuff. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we're going to have to say goodbye now to you. Sad. To say goodbye to you. It breaks my heart as well, but maybe next time you can be here with us. We're actually going to be in Austin in the future, okay, in January. So maybe you can get ready now to meet us in Austin and join us here live in a room just like this, full of incredible people, spreading incredible ideas, thinking, masterminding, talking about how to take their businesses to new places and do new things. And if you want to grow, this is a great place to do so. So with that being said, everybody say goodbye to our guests. Love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you back on Monday for another episode of Wake Up Legendary. Get out of here. Peace.